Hey guys, welcome to the Real Results Show, where we feature real health coaches and health practitioners getting real health results for their clients and themselves. As always, I'm your host, Brendan Vermeyer. I'm a clinical advisor for FDN, and I'm the director of our tribe's awesome association, where we support our community with ongoing education regarding a variety of different clinical and business building topics. So this week, I'm really stoked to have Jennifer Ellis-Schuetz.
Ellis-Schuetz.
Ellis-Schuetz, dang it. I knew that IS was going to get me. Jennifer completed the course actually back in 2015 and has really been an outstanding FDN practitioner ever since. You know, as long as I've been in the community, she's been a veteran, a rock star. I see her all the time in the FDN-P group, and I see her out there just really changing lives on a very impactful level. So I'm super excited to have her on today. So Jennifer, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to spread the word about what an amazing paradigm FDN is and how it helps so many people to resolve complex chronic health challenges and get their lives back and, just start rocking and rolling again.
Absolutely. I love your glasses. Every week when I host these things, it's kind of getting to that time in the evening where I prefer to have my orange glasses on, but then I'm like, well, so I if I had them, I'd go run and grab them so I could, I like it though.
These are actually my daytime ones that I feel are a lot more stylish than the ones I have at night. I have a night set that's more amber. Yeah. And I just like the look of these better. And since I'm on camera tonight, we're going with the more stylish look.
Yeah, I was gonna say those look way better than mine. Mine are like straight up safety glasses that just force field around my face.
Yeah, they're not so attractive. I get it.
Yeah. Well, very cool. So I'm really excited to kind of explore your journey, learning where you came from, how you got into this FDN thing, what you're doing with it now. So let's kind of go back to almost like the origin story of, what brought you into the FDN holistic world, and what attracted you to this community.
Yeah, great question. So I'm going to give you the very abbreviated nutshell version of it. Otherwise we'd be here all night. But in a nutshell, Brandon, I at age 26 years old, at the onset of my teaching career, and just 3 months after getting married, I fell deep down into the rabbit hole of chronic illness, although I didn't know it at that time. My illness was kicked off with what conventional medicine diagnosed as chronic idiopathic anaphylactic syndrome, where I would go into these anaphylactic shock episodes requiring many times intensive care unit level intervention, ventilators, airway swellings, and lots of nasty things. And I constantly was breaking out in these huge hives, migraine headaches, chronic fatigue, depression, anxiety, the gamut. Mm-hmm. And, with each passing year, I would get worse and worse, and the list of prescription drugs that I was needing to take would get longer, and things just weren't working out. Speed up the hands of time. In 2006, I was diagnosed with chronic disseminated neurological Lyme disease. And went through like really rigorous treatments for that for a long time, to the tune of like $175,000 out of pocket. I mean, you name it, I did it, man. Hyperbaric oxygen chamber, intravenous vitamin C's, the PK protocol, IV antibiotics, litanies of supplements, this and that. And I saw kind of improvements, like bouts of improvements, but I never ultimately regained my health. I constantly lived with lowered immunity and chronic fatigue. And then speed up the hands of time a little bit more. In 2010, I developed a pulmonary embolism that just about took me out. And during that time, they discovered this large mass in my liver, of which they concluded they were almost certain that it was liver cancer. And I was like, it's not liver cancer. I've known about this mass for a long time. And they're like, what? So a cyst had been picked up like 10 years previous on a CT scan. But at the time, it was just small. It was like simple and benign. And over the years, it was growing, but every radiologist that found that it was growing always says it's nothing to worry about. People have cysts in their liver, and yours is simple and benign, so don't worry about it. But at the time of this pulmonary embolism, it was no longer simple and benign. It was large, massive, and now they were labeling it complicated and likely cancer. Well, anyway, I ended up having to have that removed in liver resection, and it turned out to be a calcified parasitic infestation that the liver surgeon concluded had been growing in my liver for at least 15 years. It was a slow growing. It was a hyatidated cyst caused by the echinococcal parasite that is endemic in Central and South America, of which I lived and studied abroad as part of my college because I was a Spanish teacher. And so I was over there studying Spanish. So, after the cyst came out, I was really hopeful that after removal of the cyst that everything would clear up. And it did clear up the anaphylactic episodes and these recurring hives, but I was left with a very fractured immune system and disabling chronic fatigue that ultimately led me to have to walk away from teaching after 19 years. I mean, I literally became disabled, truly, like physically, mentally, emotionally. I had PTSD from all the, pardon the language, from all the bullshit that I dealt with the conventional medical community for, how many years, and just being dismissed and lack of diagnoses and misdiagnoses and whatever. And I was a very broken woman. I was 40 years old, walked away, crashed and burned out of a career that I had thought I was going to retire in, did not know what the heck I was going to do with my life. And my health was a complete wreck. I was a wreck. I didn't even want to be alive anymore. I was like, and that was a turning point for me where I was like, I need to take the reins and figure this out and be my own best healer. And, that's when I found FDN and took the training course and took many other training courses. I mean, I took everything that I could to learn everything that I could about what it was going to take to restore my health. And I just went to work, pedal to the metal. And I did it, and I continue to just get stronger and stronger every day. And FDN was a huge part of that because it taught me how to take the reins of my health.
There's literally just got kind of chills there because you have been a veteran FDN for quite a while, and I've really been following you as I follow the whole tribe, and you're a very active member of the AFDNP community, and being a veteran, I see you honestly, you make my life a lot easier because a lot of times you're giving people amazing help, through that, which is obviously what's so great about the community aspect. But throughout the time I've been, seeing all of your stuff and following you, obviously I've picked up, but nothing quite as cool as hearing that condensed origin story. And that it's such a privilege every week to have our FDN pros out there on this show and kind of hearing, and every one of us, we have that origin story of struggling with our health and not getting a complete resolution is probably a polite way to put it through, the conventional speaking, not that you need to hear that, but as you certainly understand. And that's what's so great. I know your business name is The Empowered Healer, correct?
Yeah, well, the LLC is Empowered Health, but my website is Empowered to Heal. So yes, I'm all about empowerment. That is 100% correct.
Yeah, exactly what I was kind of getting at there, because what I see with you is a very motivated person that, hitting rock bottom, going to that deep dark place where you're suffering, you're struggling, nobody has answers, but you stood up to take ownership and kind of take it into your own hands. And that's kind of the big thing, is everybody that runs into those obstacles and isn't able to find the help, it's like, well, shoot, I'm gonna be my own help, I'm gonna take ownership. And so aside from the beautiful education that FDN offers, that's the type of person it attracts, which I think is one of the things that makes us so powerful and unique, because this is the future. You know, this is absolutely the future of health and healthcare, is people looking for, yeah, I'm not going to take that, you know, bullshit for an answer, because it's not working, it's not helping. So tell us a little bit about your experience going through the FDN course. I mean, at this point, it was, you know, about 4 years ago. So how was your experience, and what was that like?
So it was great. You know, by the time I found the FDN course, I had already had some other certification courses under my belt. And of course, I always tell people I have a PhD in medicine that was earned just from experience. You know what I mean? Because, you know, by that time it was, you know, 16 solid years that I had been, you know, researching and trying to figure out my own thing. I was very well versed in a litany of medical tests and how to read them and medical terminology and things like that. So coming into FDN, it was, I'm not going to say it was seamless, but it was much easier than it would have been had I not had that background. Okay. And so I'm pretty sure I completed the course pretty quickly. You know, it was pretty quickly. I went through it a lot more quickly than I had thought. And the biggest thing about FDN is it shifted my perspective, completely shifted my perspective from, you know, treating symptoms or zeroing in on where the problem is. It's like when you have a headache, people are like, okay, well, I need to fix something in my head. No, you know, that's where it helped me to look at things a lot more holistically and from a system-wide standpoint. And just the term metabolic chaos, you know, I mean, I use that term all the time to help my clients understand why they feel like crap, why they don't have energy, why they're depressed, why their muscles ache, and so forth, and help them understand metabolic chaos. But the biggest thing was, you know, just the whole dress paradigm. Like, you got to go back to the basics. It starts with diet, rest, exercise, and stress reduction. If you know, I look back on my journey, and I mean, Brandon, like I told you, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket. I'm not exaggerating. Okay. Hundreds. I saw some of the world's best chronic illness specialists, and I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on their treatments, but no one ever in any of that ever talked to me about what, you know, they gave me handouts here, follow a gluten-free diet, but they never really educated me. What is the importance of diet? How does that help to lay the foundation for cellular integrity and so forth? And, you know, are you moving regularly, and what kind of movement, and your sleep? I mean, I had atrocious habits. I was up obsessively researching on my computer till all hours of the night, being bombarded by blue lights, you know, not getting deep sleep. And like, holy cow, like FDN helped me realize, like, I was undoing everything that I was doing, trying to get well. Does that make sense? Like,
totally. Yeah.
I was like harming my body while I was trying to heal it, spending more money than my husband and I could possibly earn. It was like, you know, it was ridiculous. And, you know, just burning the candle at both ends of the wick, constantly pushing myself beyond my capacity. You know, I mean, I'm sure you hear this from lots of people that you work with, the same old, same old. And I was still trying to focus on the pathology model, you know, like if I just kill the Lyme, I'm going to be better. If I, whatever is, you know, all of that above. And it leads to a vicious cycle. You know, you just keep chasing infections around the block and spending more money. I mean, I don't know how many years I chased, you know, spirochetes and Bartonella around the block. It's like, at some point you have to shift and start looking at the terrain, which is, you know, inside of your body, but also the terrain of your life.
Yeah.
In order to overcome these complex chronic conditions.
I loved all of that in so many ways, because you're so right. And that's where, you know, I like you, I had a lot of other credentials. You know, my background is more, you know, fitness, nutrition, health-based coaching. And that's something I think is really lacking. You know, the kind of functional medicine industry is absolutely exploding right now, you kind of pointed out there where like the pathology model, it really is more of a reductionistic approach of, yeah, kind of chasing symptoms. And well, based on these symptoms, we're going to make this diagnostic label, but that really kind of confines the scope of view of like, well, this is the problem. And then they lose sight of the bigger picture. And that's where I think I feel like, and you really kind of spoke to it with your health journey. I think a lot of even, physicians of whatever nature that turn functional and start dubbing themselves functional medicine practitioners or doctors, I still feel like I see a lot of them struggling because they miss the mark and they don't embrace the full holistic models. That's where, as you pointed out, I don't think FDN is just a methodology. It's also a paradigm shift, and it becomes this very broad approach that encompasses anything that helps them move the needle on their physiological, psychological, their total health, right? And that's kind of the big thing, is you have to deal with the total person, the total health picture. So I'd love to hear a little bit about, you blazed through the course, you're a rock star, you're extremely knowledgeable and experienced and having been through your own journey. So then tell us about then that transition into, now I'm an independent professional developing a practice so I can help other people get well.
Yeah. So, I mean, here I am in my own practice. I will tell you, I definitely put my own spin on things. FDN,
Sure.
the FDN model is definitely the foundation in which I have built my practice. However, having said that, I do have a master's of science in counseling psychology, and I have just an immense amount of training in neuro-linguistic programming, neural rewiring, the whole mindset component, mind body coaching, training certifications and things like that. So, and I guess I can't help but bring my own experience because I dealt with such immense emotional, mental and emotional turmoil in my own journey. I mean, I kind of have to go back and tell you that even before I got sick, I was very perfectionist. I was a perfectionist, very loud inner critic and very high achiever, but never had really good confidence in myself. So it was like I had this underpinning programming that I was never enough, which constantly kept me striving for unattainable targets. Like I have to do everything perfectly. And that's how I approached my teaching career. That's how I approached my athleticism. And it kept me kind of in a fight or flight response my whole life, like pumping out stress hormones my whole life, which now that I understand the neurobiology of the stress response, that played a role in priming me for even succumbing to chronic Lyme and mold illness and all of these things, because I just couldn't detox properly or digest my food properly because I was like living in a state of contraction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so because that has been my experience, I now tend to attract those same kind of clients that come my way, highly driven professionals that have burned themselves out. Okay. And they're flatlined and, they've been handed the diagnosis of mold illness or chronic Lyme, but no one's talked to them about these underpinnings that put them in a vulnerable state in to begin with, and now they've become perfectionists in their healing journey, and they contract in their healing journey. And I'm sure you understand that the body cannot heal in a state of contraction. Okay. And so that's a big part of my work, is I take a deep dive into the mindset and emotional healing and teach a vast array of tools to kind of become more aware of patterns within ourselves that are no longer serving us, that it evolved because of past experiences. And so, I'm an FDN with a large, energetic, mental and emotional spin on how I approach my work.
Yeah. I love that. And for one thing, it's crazy. I feel like we have quite a bit in common with some of the personality traits and sort of our approach to all of this. And you're so right. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Absolutely. So then you put that energy out there, and then you start getting that energy back with the clients. But also, I think that's something that's really cool about, I kind of think of it as like the FDN umbrella, because I would agree with that as well, where, yeah, FDN is probably the most profound foundation. I mean, I have a lot of different credentials and whatever, but it serves as the foundation or the umbrella. And I love how you are taking that deep dive into the psychology, the emotions, the spirituality even. And I literally was just saying this on tonight's webinar, which was all about emotional eating, of like, I just picture our health as like a yin yang, where it's like the psychology, physiology, you can't separate the two, and you can't heal the physiology without healing the psychology, or vice versa. So to me, what you're doing is how it should be. And in my experience, I'm sure you'd agree, that's the only way it works.
Absolutely. And and as you know, when clients come our way, each client is unique, and some clients need more support in the physiology out the gate,
Sure.
and some clients need more support in the psychology out the gate.
Totally.
And there's really like 3 buckets. There's the physiological and biochemical bucket. Okay. Yep. Then there's the mindset bucket, and then there's the emotional healing bucket. Mm-hmm. And everybody's got stuff in each bucket. It's just some people's buckets are more full. Some people's, this bucket is more full for that person and that person and that person. And it's, an experienced and an intuitive clinician or practitioner, whatever you want to call us. That's what we need to help them sort out and kind of, help them figure that out and hold the space for them to figure it out.
Yes. Your verbiage. Yes. I love all of these things. And so you mentioned you attract a lot of kind of perfectionistic, highly motivated professionals that have burnt themselves out. Do you feel like that's your niche, or the demographic you're going for, more what's being attracted to you, or what's kind of like your ideal client, or who you really love working with?
Primarily I attract people that have they're dealing chronic fatigue, okay, because that was like my biggest issue. Granted, I had many issues, but that was like the overarching issue. So, and really, what is chronic fatigue syndrome? You know what I mean? So I would say my niche is like chronic fatigue syndrome, but as you know, most chronic fatigue syndromes are underlying chronic Lyme and mold illness that just hasn't been identified properly. Right. And then burnout syndrome, but it seems like those two go hand in hand. So yes, I would say that's my niche. I do work a lot with chronic Lyme and mold illness because, well, either they already know it when they come to me, or I help them know that after they come to me. You know what I mean? Run the right labs, and guess what? Here you go. Holy cow, you've got, high levels of ochratoxins. Where did these come from? And then the next thing you know, they're finding they got mold underneath their house, and you're opening up opening up a whole can of worms. And things like that. So I would say that's my niche: chronic fatigue syndrome, burnout syndrome. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, well, and for everybody watching, that's kind of the whole thing about the FDNs is, we're not chasing the diagnosis, we're not chasing the symptoms, we're seeking out what are those hidden stressors that you probably don't even know are there, obviously, unless the people are doing their own homework and are kind of tapped into the functional industry. No, people don't you don't talk about mercury toxicity over brunch or, Lyme or mold over dinner. Like, this stuff just doesn't come up. And what's kind of fun, I'm sure you are right there with me, where it's almost like kind of working in reverse, because, a lot of practitioners and doctors and whatever, they're starting from the top down of like, well, the diagnosis, the clinical presentation, and whatever. And as far as how deep they dig, that's a very big question mark. Whereas we, start with the digging deep down to then explain the surface level. And so I like what you said about like the mold, where, it's like, run the test. And I'm like, oh, geez, well, I know you've got, mold growing in your body and toxins and whatever. So now we got to figure out where it came from. And you kind of work the other way.
Yeah. You know what I would say, and I also get clients coming my way that they already know what's going on with them. They just haven't been adequately able or led through the process of unraveling it. You know, like I have clients and they come with a stack of lab tests that have been run, you know, within the last 6 months. And I look at them and one of them is, you know, a Great Plains mycotoxin panel, and another one's a mercury panel, and another one's a GI map. And so we don't even have to run any labs. Now we just have to get to work and unraveling it. And so it's really interesting, the gamut that we get with clients. And then I have other clients come my way and they're just clueless. They've been told is I got leaky gut. Or I've been told I have adrenal fatigue. You know what I mean? And then the next thing you know, they have to do $100,000 remediation job on their house because their whole roof is loaded with mold, which was my case. So. Yeah,
no, you're so right. And that's the thing is there's, you know, the industry is exploding, but that's where I feel like, you know, FDNs with our structured education, our structured methodology that encompasses so many different aspects, and then whatever else we want to bring to the table. You know, you mentioned NLP and that kind of stuff where, absolutely. The more tools in your tool belt, the more you can best serve whatever walks in your door. But you're so right. Even a lot of people that kind of turn to the functional, alternative, integrative, whatever type practitioners doesn't mean they actually got results. Even if they have identified, oh, well, this doctor found Lyme or whatever, doesn't mean that they've had somebody that can hold their hands with genuine empathy and the knowledge to guide them down that path. And that's where I think people like you and the rest of the FDN community are just so valuable, because we've been there. You know, we've gone through the hardships. We've been through the same frustrations with not finding answers, but then we empower ourselves and then turn around to then educate other people how to get well and stay well naturally. And that, in essence, is the FDN movement, which is why we're here tonight and why we're so passionate about it. So I'd love to hear, as we start winding down, I'd love to hear, you know, how you work. Are you completely virtual, in person? How do you do that?
Yeah, so I am 100% virtual. I work, all the clients that come my way, they work with me from the comfort of their own home. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I use Zoom. Zoom video. I couldn't think, because I used to use Skype and I switched. I'm like, what am I using now? I use Zoom, and I'm proud to say that I don't operate on Wi-Fi. I have a hardwired Ethernet.
There you go.
So, very stable, and I don't want, you know, I'm trying to do Operation Reduce EMFs in my house. So I got rid of Wi-Fi to do that. So I'm all online, and you know, I work with clients just like you and I are talking now. They see me. I see them. I teach a lot of group classes. I'm going to be doing my first group program called the Empower to Heal group program. That's going to start this June 18th.
Yeah.
Is the start date of that. So, all online, nothing in person.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I love it. I'm sure you agree, like working from home and, you know, the client's comfortable because they're in their space. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. And that's really how I work. And I have a standalone kind of a starter model I bring, because, you know, by the time people come to us, they've spent most of the time a significant amount of money. They've seen several practitioners. Their trust is, you know, their trust is limited, and I don't blame them. You know, they don't want to make a huge investment. So I developed this model where I start with what's called a Jumpstart Your Healing Plan, which is, you know, a low cost. It's $250, and they get a 90-minute review session with me, followed by a 30-minute follow-up. And in that review session, I make sure that they walk away with some action steps right away that they can implement on the short term to just maybe obviously we're not going to resolve a whole lot of things in a short amount of time, but action steps just to give them a little shift in moving the needle forward so that they can feel some hope. Totally. You know what I mean? And we can come up with a game plan for them. Like, you know, what's going on? What labs do we really need to run? Let's look at what labs have been run. And then we kind of check back in with each other for a 30-minute session after that to kind of see how they feel about me and what I had to say that first session, so they can say, yeah, I trust you. You resonate with me. I want to move forward.
Yeah.
Versus, just going from an initial free consult into a big paid plan, which I used to do.
Right.
And I feel that I need to earn people's trust a little bit more and let them see if we jive together, resonate, because, walking someone through a journey, or I should say helping someone being the co-creator of a healing journey with someone, that's an intimate relationship.
Yes.
It's, you get down in the trenches and you really want to make sure that it's a copacetic relationship. You know what I mean? That they trust us and we work well with them and so forth. Because if it's not cathartic, then you're not going to be able to help them move forward, no matter how great your clinical skills are.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And, even just in the past 2 years, I've shifted into more a model pretty similar to that. And I think that's, it speaks to your genuine nature, your experience. It really speaks volumes to your value as a professional, because it's not like, oh, sure, like just come on in. It has to be that way, because this is such an intense and at times rigorous and very in-depth process that I think that's how it needs to be done. So I love that you're really, leading by example and kind of setting the standard of, how to best serve all these people. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
So where can people learn more about you, get in contact with you, website, social media, all the things?
Yeah. So my website is www.empoweredtoheal.com. And on my website, they can find links to my Instagram account, my Facebook business page. I do have a private Facebook group called Healing CFS, Mold Illness, CIRS, which stands for Chronic Inflammatory Response Syndrome, and more. And there's a link to that on my website. And, I have a blog. I'm going to soon be launching my podcast.
Yeah.
And I have a YouTube channel. So, I'm in all the avenues that I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Right.
At least I'm trying to keep up with all the techies and the youngsters out there that know a whole lot more about whatever the internet than I do. But I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Yeah. It's funny you say all the young ones that, I'm literally right there with you of like, well, I'm on all those things, but I don't actually know what I'm doing. I need whoever the young person is that you just referenced.
What's funny is I actually just paid a young kid, 16, a son of one of my friends, a pretty substantial amount of money to kind of train me on the ins and outs of YouTube, because I'm like, man, I don't know what the heck this stuff is.
Yeah.
I don't know how to find the right keywords and all these things. Like, and I'm like,
right.
And it all changes so fast. My head's spinning, so it's like, we have our business. Okay. We have to run our business. We have our clients. We have our own life. And then to add like learning the tech on top of it, sometimes I'm just like, I just want to cry. I'm like, I don't know. Like,
oh my gosh. I'm going to make like all my staff watch this video just so that they can get it. And then they don't think I'm so high maintenance with like when I'm handing all that stuff off, like somebody else figured this out. Just, I can't do it right now.
It's serious. I mean, it's building an online business is overwhelming. People cannot even begin to fathom what goes into it unless they're doing it. It's an immense, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's they really need to make this a university degree program. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, when's that coming? Because this is like, seriously, like you need to be able to get a degree in online business building and every aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because it's absolutely huge. I wish I had a degree in it, because I feel so clueless sometimes. I'm like, I
am right there with you. Well, awesome. I'd love to. We will definitely have to talk more sometime soon, because I could talk to you all day. So certainly we'll make sure to get your information so everybody can reach out to you as needed. So certainly those of you watching live or watching the replay, be sure you can get in contact with Jennifer if you're interested in working with her privately. And keep in mind, if you're interested in becoming a professional and joining the the ranks as an FDN practitioner, which I literally could not think of a better career path, but I guess maybe I'm slightly biased. But you can check out functionaldiagnosticnutrition.com/counselor, and you can actually meet with a course counselor to talk about it, decide, is this the right fit for you? It's no small undertaking, but it's an amazing one if it's the right path for you. And then, of course, if you want to enroll in the course, you can go to functionaldiagnosticnutrition.com/Facebook Live. But Jennifer, super vibey conversation. I feel like this was overdue. And thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I had a riot being here, and we'll be seeing each other in the FDN and afdnp communities.
Oh,
thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. I've definitely learned from you and seen your skills in the group, and you're such a very valuable soul to have in our tribe, and a true, ambassador of all of this. So keep doing your thing, and we'll definitely talk more soon.
Yeah. Have yourself a great evening.
Cool. You too.
Yep.
See you guys.